everyone, and welcome back to the CEO Nutrition page. I'm Amanda, and in this video we'll be talking about something I'm sure you have all seen before, the nutrition facts label. So the FDA has updated the nutrition facts label, and this means we're getting all new labels on our food. You may have seen these new labels on some food items, but all of our food should have these new labels by January 1st, 2021. The updated label can help us make food choices that contribute to lifelong healthy eating habits. So first we'll look at the differences between the new and the old label, and then we'll go through how to read the nutrition facts label to make sure we're getting all the information we can from our food packaging. It'll also give us some easy tips and tricks to save time when comparing two food options. So let's go. Here we can see a side-by-side comparison of the old versus the new nutrition facts label. The first difference we can see is that serving size is much larger on the new versus the old label, and they'll list servings per container first. Next, we'll see calories are also in a much larger and bolder font on the new label than on the old label. My favorite addition to the new nutrition facts label is the inclusion of added sugars. It's important for us to know how many added sugars are in our foods because eating too many added sugars can make it difficult for us to get the nutrients that we need while not consuming too many calories. Another benefit of seeing added sugars on the label would be if we're looking at foods like fruit juice or fruits. We want to make sure that we are avoiding added sugars, but we don't want to avoid the sugars that are natural from things like fruit. So if we're looking at something like fruit juice, we would want to see a low amount of added sugars compared to total sugars. Moving on, when looking at the vitamins and minerals listed down here, we see that on the new label, vitamin D and potassium are listed instead of vitamin A and C, which were listed on the old label. And that's because vitamin A and C deficiencies are pretty rare nowadays, and we're much more likely to be lower in vitamin D and potassium. So those are two things we want to make sure to look out for. Finally, the last change on the new nutrition facts label is the difference in this footnote here. The footnote basically just tells us that these percent daily values on the side are based on a 2,000 calorie diet, and we'll talk a little bit more about that when we're reading the nutrition facts label. Now that we know what changes have been made to the new nutrition facts label, let's take a closer look at how to read a nutrition facts label. As we go through this process, you might realize that this will make it easier for us to know exactly what's in our food and can also make it faster when we're trying to compare different options for foods or maybe two new foods. So when we see a nutrition facts label, here I have an example of a facts label for one cookie. So we always want to start with the serving size. Like I said, this label says the serving size is one cookie, and there are 24 servings per container. So this nutrition facts label might be on a package of cookies that contains 24 cookies. The reason we want to start with the serving size is because the serving size is not telling us how much to eat, it's basically just telling us that all of this nutrition information is based on that one serving. So in this case, one cookie contains all of these nutrients in those amounts. We always want to compare what we think we'll eat with the actual serving size. So if this were me, I might want to have 2 cookies or 3 cookies. So if I want to have 2 cookies, I'll multiply everything on this label by 2. Next, from serving size, we're going to move on to calories. If I were only having 1 cookie, it would have 160 calories. But say I were having 2 cookies, that would be more like 320 calories, and so forth. So we multiply by the amount of servings that we are going to eat. We multiply all of these nutrients by how many servings we're going to eat. After calories, we move down to things that we should limit. Some of these things that I have highlighted in red, such as saturated fat, sodium, and added sugars like I was talking about before, we should try to limit these items. Other nutrients on the list, such as fiber, vitamin D, calcium, iron, potassium, all of the vitamins and minerals down there, Those are things that we want to make sure we're getting enough of. A quick trick to know whether a nutrient is high or low in a certain food is using these daily value percentages like I was talking about before. The percent daily value just gives us an idea of what percentage of a certain nutrient is contained in that food. So for example, in this one cookie, we see that it contains 10% of the total fat that we should eat for a day if we were eating 2,000 calories. And many of us are right around 2,000 calories. Using this method, we can simply look at this right-hand column of the nutrition facts label and ignore this left side if we want to. And that trick is called the 5-20 rule. It states that if a certain nutrient is 5% or less, that means that the food is low in that nutrient. So for example, on this label, we see that sodium is at 3%, which is below 5% or low. So this cookie is low in sodium. The 20 part of the 5-20 rule states that if a nutrient is 20% or more, then that food is high in that nutrient. So in the case of this cookie, we see 24% saturated fat, and that's just for one cookie. If I had 2 cookies, that would be very close to 50%. We won't tell. But that means that the cookie is high in saturated fat. So using this method is an easy way to simply look at a facts label and see whether certain things that we want to limit are high or low, and certain things that we want to make sure we get enough of or are high or low. So in that way, we can easily compare 2 foods and try to limit these saturated fat and sodium and added sugar, and make sure we're getting enough fiber, calcium, vitamin D, and vitamins or minerals.
As another example, I have a little bag of chips here with me. Pause this video and let me know in the comments how many servings do you think are in this one little bag of potato chips?
So, how many servings do you think were in this bag? The answer is 2.5 servings per container. I'm very surprised as well. So, in addition to the changes that have been made on the new nutrition facts label, some containers will also have information displayed not only for the serving, but also per container. So in something like this, where you would expect someone to eat the whole bag in one sitting, it should also have listed all of the nutrition facts label for the entire container. So in this case, we have 2.5 servings per container, but a serving size is only 1 ounce. If this were an old nutrition facts label, we would only see this, the nutrition facts for 1 serving. And if we didn't look closely at the label, we may think that this was the nutrition facts for the entire bag, whereas in reality, we would have to multiply this by 2.5. But thankfully, with the new label, they do all of the math for us. So if we were to eat this entire bag of chips, we would see, based on our 5-20% rule, that it is pretty high in total fat, moderate in saturated fat, high in sodium, moderate in total carbohydrates, moderate in dietary fiber, and low in added sugar. We can see down here that it has 20% potassium, which means that potato chips are high in potassium, but they are intermediate in iron and low in calcium and vitamin D. They're also low in cholesterol. So that's just another example of how to read a nutrition facts label using the percent daily values. So just like I showed you a food that I thought should be 1 serving, but actually turned out to be 2.5, I'd like you guys to share with me in the comments below a food that you found that you think should have been 1 serving, but was actually maybe more. And if you have any questions at all about reading a nutrition facts label, please ask those in the comments below, or you can message me on my Facebook. I'd be happy to answer those for you guys. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.
welcome back to the CEO Nutrition Education Channel. My name is Alana and I am a nutrition educator for the Commission on Economic Opportunity. Today I will be demonstrating for you all how to make a simple but delicious cheesy broccoli and rice casserole. This recipe utilizes only 4 ingredients in total, 2 of which are common pantry staple items. Before we begin, I wanted to draw your attention to one of the common pantry items that we use in this recipe, the cream of mushroom soup. Pre-made soups tend to contain an excessive amount of sodium, sometimes way more than we need in a day. To ensure that we aren't taking in an excess amount of sodium, we can reach for low or reduced sodium soup options. To show just how much more sodium a can of regular cream of mushroom soup has, we can compare our nutrition facts labels.
When we look at our nutrition facts label, the first thing we should always check is the serving size. Although this is only 1 small can, the serving size is a half cup with 2.5 half-cup servings per can. This means that everything on our label is going to be multiplied by 2.5 if we want to find out what the amount of each nutrient is in 1 full can. In a regular can of cream of mushroom soup, there is 870 milligrams of sodium per a half cup. 870 multiplied by 2.5 is 2,175 milligrams of sodium per a single can of soup. This is 95% of our daily value of sodium for a single day, which is incredibly high. In a reduced sodium can of cream of mushroom soup, there is 410 milligrams of sodium per a half cup serving. In 1 can, there would be 1,025 milligrams of sodium, or 45% of our daily value. While this is still relatively high, it is significantly lower than a traditional can of cream of mushroom soup.
Choosing the reduced or low sodium option allows us to still have a delicious dish that's much easier on our hearts. Now that we've talked about how we can use our nutrition facts label to help us make smarter food choices, we're just about ready to start making our cheesy broccoli and rice casserole. This recipe does contain the common allergens wheat, milk, and soy. So if you have any allergies to these items, please avoid making this recipe. Before we begin, I also want to remind you it's very important that we wash our hands with soap and warm water for at least 20 seconds to ensure safe food preparation. After we've done that, we can grab our ingredients and get cooking.
ingredients you'll need for this recipe is half a red onion, 2 peaches, 1 tomato, 1 bell pepper, cilantro, lime juice, salt, and pepper. In this recipe, canned fruit is always an option. When purchasing canned goods, look for canned in 100% juice or no sugar added.